Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Yesterday, all over our social media pages, Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
All right, let's break this down. When news broke that Steve Harvey, the king of daytime TV and family-friendly entertainment, was cooperating with the FBI after Diddy's arrest, the celebrity world went into total meltdown. I mean, can you imagine? Steve Harvey, the man who's always preaching about faith, family, and doing the right thing, suddenly caught up in something so scandalous? It's like finding out your sweet grandma has a secret life as a Vegas showgirl. But here's the kicker, loves. Steve wasn't just an innocent bystander in all this. Oh no, he was knee-deep in Diddy's world, and it all started at one of Diddy's infamous parties. You know the ones I'm talking about. Those super-secret, celeb-packed gatherings that everyone whispers about, but no one really knows what goes down.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
Now let's spill some tea about these parties. For years, there have been rumors swirling about what really goes on behind those closed doors. We're talking A-list celebs, outrageous behavior, and more secrets than a teenage girl's diary. And guess who was a regular attendee? That's right, our boy Steve. But here's where it gets juicy. Diddy wasn't just throwing these parties for fun. Oh no, he was playing a much bigger game. According to insiders, Diddy was collecting dirt on his so-called friends. We're talking hidden cameras everywhere, recording every move. It's like Big Brother, but with more champagne and potential blackmail. At one of these parties, Diddy allegedly caught Steve in a compromising position. Now, I don't know about you, but if I found out there were secret cameras at a party, I'd be running faster than Usain Bolt. But Steve, he kept coming back. Makes you wonder what was really going on, doesn't it?
With very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout his home.
So, what exactly did Diddy capture on camera? Well, the details are fuzzier than a peach, but word on the street is that it was scandalous enough to keep Steve in line for years. We're talking seriously juicy stuff, loves. Now, Diddy's always had an eye for power. He knew that having dirt on powerful people was like having a get-out-of-jail-free card in Monopoly, and when he realized what he had on Steve, honey, he didn't hesitate to use it. Reports have surfaced that Diddy blackmailed Steve for years. We're talking demands for favors, a stake in Steve's business ventures, and get this, even Lori Harvey, Steve's own stepdaughter. I know it sounds like something straight out of a soap opera, but in Hollywood, truth is often stranger than fiction. Apparently, Diddy's demands went beyond just business deals. There are whispers that Lori Harvey, who was in her early 20s at the time, became part of this twisted equation. Now, both Lori and Diddy have denied any romantic involvement, but the rumors persist. It's messier than a food fight at a fancy restaurant. But why didn't Steve walk away? Why didn't he go public sooner? Well, loves, it all comes down to image. Steve built an empire around being the charming, wise, funny man everyone could relate to. The potential destruction of his brand if that footage ever came out, it was too big a risk.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell.
But the rabbit hole goes even deeper. Sources claim that Diddy used Steve's influence to solve legal issues, make connections, and even launder money through his businesses. Can you believe it? The man who's always preaching about ethics and values caught up in something so sinister? It's like finding out Santa Claus is running an underground fight club. Steve wasn't just Diddy's friend, he was his pawn. The person Diddy would call when a problem needed solving, someone to clean up the mess without asking too many questions. It's like Steve was living a double life, family-friendly TV host by day, Diddy's fixer by night.
And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those two raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
But here's a twist that'll make your head spin faster than a disco ball. Some say Steve didn't just stay silent because of blackmail. There are rumors that he actually benefited from this arrangement. We're talking key business deals, luxury trips, access to the most exclusive events. It's possible that Steve was reluctant to walk away from all those perks. After all, who doesn't like a bit of the high life?
Housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
It wasn't until Diddy's recent legal troubles that Steve finally saw a way out. When the FBI started sniffing around Diddy for a laundry list of charges including racketeering and corruption, Steve knew the jig was up. He had 2 choices: go down with Diddy or flip and cooperate with the feds. And let me tell you, loves, Steve chose to save his own skin faster than you can say Family Feud. By cooperating, Steve could protect himself from any legal fallout and try to salvage what was left of his reputation. But in doing so, he exposed just how far he had fallen from his wholesome, family-friendly image. It's like watching your favorite superhero turn into the villain. Now, here's where it gets really wild. It was reported that Steve approached the FBI not long after Diddy's arrest. According to insiders, Steve painted himself as the victim, claiming that Diddy had coerced him into doing things he never wanted to do. He played the part of someone who had been backed into a corner, manipulated by one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. But let's be real here, loves. Was Steve really just a victim, or was he playing both sides all along? His decision to cooperate certainly raises questions about his role in all of this. It's like watching a chess game where you're not sure who's really moving the pieces.
That's not the issue. The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
So what happens next? Will the public forgive Steve once more details come to light? Or will this be the scandal that finally brings down his empire? It's hard to say, but one thing's for sure. This story is far from over. The deeper you dig, the more layers of deceit, manipulation, and betrayal you uncover. It's like peeling an onion, but instead of tears, you get shock and disbelief.
Yeah, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
Now, let's not get it twisted. Steve Harvey might be painting himself as a victim in this whole Diddy mess. But if you take a closer look, it's clear that Steve is far from innocent. Sure, he claims that Diddy blackmailed him and pushed him into a corner, but let's be real. Steve has his own dark history, and it's not as squeaky clean as his public persona would have you believe. In fact, some would argue that Steve has been playing the game all along, just like Diddy. And this whole situation is simply a house of cards crumbling down. It's like watching a magician's trick fall apart. Suddenly, you see all the strings and hidden compartments. Let's start with Steve's past. On the surface, he's built a brand around family values, preaching loyalty, hard work, and moral principles. But behind that motivational speaker image, Steve's life has been riddled with scandal. It's like he's been wearing a mask, and now it's starting to slip. First of all, his current wife, Marjorie Harvey, isn't exactly a stranger to controversy herself. Before Steve, Marjorie was involved with not one, but 2 major figures who were deep into some shady business. Her first husband, Jim Townsend, was convicted and sent to prison for trying to move a large amount of illegal substances. He even admitted that the authorities had enough evidence to implicate Marjorie, but he made a deal to keep her from being charged. Talk about skeletons in the closet. And as if that wasn't enough, after she split from Townsend, Marjorie went on to marry another big player in the same shady game, Donald Woods. So, Steve didn't just marry a woman with a complicated past, he married someone who had close ties to people living far from the straight and narrow. It's like he jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire. But Marjorie's past isn't the only thing raising eyebrows. Steve himself has been accused of mistreating those closest to him. Rumors have circulated for years about how he's treated employees and those who've worked for him. Stories have surfaced that paint him as a controlling, demanding boss who's quick to fire anyone who crosses him. It's like he's running a tight ship, but instead of a captain's hat, he's wearing a crown.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
The fact that Steve was a regular attendee at these events is enough to raise questions. What exactly did he see? What did he take part in? And more importantly, what does Diddy have on him? Because let's be honest, if Steve is as desperate to keep these tapes under wraps as people say, then whatever was caught on camera must be pretty damning. If it ever comes to light, it could not only ruin Steve's career, but also destroy the public's trust in him. That's why Steve is in such a delicate position right now. He's walking a tightrope, trying to distance himself from Diddy while also protecting his own secrets. Now, let's fast forward to the present. Diddy is in serious trouble. After months of rumors, lawsuits, and shocking allegations, Diddy was finally arrested on a slew of charges that range from racketeering to trafficking. The official charges paint a disturbing picture of a man who's been living a double life for years, from orchestrating illegal operations to coercing people into situations they couldn't escape from. Diddy's public persona as a suave, successful businessman is now in shambles. The details are still emerging, but the media frenzy surrounding his arrest is only growing.
Rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors. Yeah, I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
The question is, will the public buy it? Can Steve really claim he was just an innocent bystander dragged into something he didn't want to be part of? Or is this just another example of someone who's used their power and influence to cover up their own misdeeds? It's hard to say, but one thing is for sure. The longer Steve stays quiet, the more suspicious he looks. And as more details about Diddy's parties and the people who attended them come out, the harder it's going to be for Steve to keep his reputation intact. In the end, Steve's fate might depend on what happens with Diddy. If Diddy goes down, there's a chance that he'll take others down with him. After all, Diddy has spent years building relationships with some of the most powerful people in the industry, and if he's facing a lengthy prison sentence, he might be willing to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. And who's to say that Steve isn't one of the people Diddy might expose? It's not outside the realm of possibility that Diddy has more dirt on Steve than we even know about.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
For now, though, all eyes are on Diddy as he faces the biggest legal battle of his life. Whether he manages to weasel his way out of this one or finally faces justice remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, the story of Diddy and his empire is far from over, and as more pieces of the puzzle come to light, we'll likely see more names, more scandals, and more shocking revelations emerge. The question is, will Steve Harvey's name be one of them? As the dust settles, only time will tell how deep the rabbit hole goes. But one thing's for sure, both Steve and Diddy are playing dangerous games, and in Hollywood, no secret stays buried forever. So, loves, what do you think? Is Steve Harvey really the victim here, or has he been playing both sides all along? And how deep do you think Diddy's influence runs in Hollywood? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, in Hollywood, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Stay messy, loves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.